I have a confession to make. Sometimes I enjoy feeling stupid, but don't tell my mom that I finally admitted to it. I wonder how many of us here can relate to that, because I know it's not the most popular thing to say out loud, especially in front of an audience or in a learning environment, like a classroom. I spent about 12 years of my life in classrooms, in school, as most of us here probably have. And for a good portion of that time, I hated physics. Ironically, now that I'm a college student and I could have chosen any subject that I wanted, I chose physics. Usually, when I tell people that, they give me a look that's a bit like, who forced you? Why would you do that to yourself? And I get it, given my history with the subject. But looking back, I realized I didn't hate physics, I just didn't understand it. But what I hated was how that made me feel. So, what changed? Towards the end of high school, we were required to complete a report of sorts. But the fun part was that we could write it on any topic we wanted. That's when I stumbled across the more modern fields of physics, like quantum mechanics and particle physics. And for the first time in a long time, the more I learned, the more I wanted to learn. This is where I think a good sense of stupidity comes in. Physics as a major was a last-minute decision for me purely because I had so many stupid questions that I just had to get answers to. But sometime between then and now, I forgot what these questions were. I became just another student, thinking, repeating, memorizing, never really thinking. But that changed last semester when higher level pure math hit me. And sure, I had been warned, but no amount of repeating, memorizing, or watching 5 YouTube videos on the same topic was just enough to get you through this course. In order to move forward, I had to sit back and admit that I was absolutely clueless. I had to start by asking the seemingly simple, stupid questions. And despite that being a long, frustrating road to drive along, it can be beautifully rewarding. But then again, it's not like I can drive on any real roads yet. Turns out that getting your driver's license takes more patience than a 5-page math derivation. Anywho, I've been trying to stick to this process of slow learning ever since, really leaning into the fact that I don't know. But what struck me more recently is that most students are not okay with not knowing, or rather, not knowing instantly. I wanted to understand why. So, I decided to conduct some research into what the collective reason might be. And by that, I mean I went to the most credible source of opinion on the internet, Reddit. I posted what I thought, and I waited as the platform's passionate users typed out their responses. But, to be fair, I also spoke to the professors and students around me, and I read into some actual research. There's this well-done study done by Arizona State in the US, where they evaluated 417 undergraduate students to determine whether or not these students found asking questions in class to be helpful. As it turns out, 90% of them did. But what's really interesting is that half of these students never asked questions during the semester. The other half asked only about 1 or 2, again, for the whole semester. And no matter where I looked, the reasons for this were pretty consistent. I like to sum them up into what I call the 3 C's: conformity, consumption, and community. An uncomfortable universal experience is sitting in class, wanting to raise your hand but telling yourself, it's probably just me. That, right there, is an example of conformity, sticking to the script. So, you don't raise your hand and you tell yourself, I'll go home and I'll look it up later. And maybe you do, perhaps you find your answer. But there's also a good chance that what you find online confuses you even more. And now you're guiltier because you can't seem to find the answer to the simple question you had. Or worse, not finding the answer ends up leading to you having a scroll session on your phone for 2 hours. That's what consumption is about. We have unlimited access to information, yet we choose to engage with what entertains us rather than challenges us. Okay, so the first two failed. You tell yourself, I will ask a friend, or I'll visit my professor during office hours. And if that's your final step, then amazing. I am so proud of you. But it's not an easy step to take. When we do seek help, we tend to maintain this illusion of competence because we are so terrified of our souls being judged by the other souls around us. And when all of that effort fails, we give up. And we hope that motivation finds us again later. But maybe it doesn't have to stop there. You see, I am a lazy person. So I like it when my problems are also my solutions. That is why I chose these words specifically. You can conform to newer, healthier habits. Write down your intrusive questions as you go along a topic. What confuses you? What assumptions are you making? And with consumption, no, I'm not asking you to throw away your phone and go live under a rock, but I do think we can be more intentional with what we consume. Try to shift your feet towards content that aligns with your personal goals and interests. And with community, instead of avoiding office hours or trying to sound smart, admit what you don't know. More often than not, people, especially experts, appreciate genuine curiosity. And if going to your direct instructor or professor intimidates you, then try teaching assistants or your seniors. They've been in your shoes more recently and are more likely to explain things in a relatable way. And to top it all off, be curious. This is my last C on the list for today because I am getting tired of them too. But I will be honest. While these are steps that individuals can take to improve their learning, large-scale change would require the involvement of educators and decision makers. Your expertise and experience is invaluable, but one of the best ways you can foster deep learning is to dumb yourself down. Think back to the fundamental questions you had as a student. Is what you're teaching today driven by intuition or memorization? Moreover, staying engaged with how each generation learns is crucial because the future of your field depends on how you nurture your students. I know that not knowing, struggling with the concept, questioning your own intelligence, it can feel isolating, frustrating, deeply discouraging. But the truth is that none of these can take away from what you already know. You don't know yet, and that's okay. Because if you care enough to ask, to explore, to push through, you will know. And now for lines that I've been waiting to say for a long time. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.